first time I was ever scared in my life, like genuinely scared, was when I got a phone call from my mother-in-law. She told me my wife was in hospital. She'd lost half her blood in her body and she had a miscarriage. And she was in Scotland and I was in Reading. And I sat in the car, filled the tank up, and I drove 6.5 hours and I didn't stop. 457 miles. I remember it so clearly. What I like about every pregnancy is it focuses on the human. It's like the life. I feel compelled to, I feel this kind of magnetic urge to get towards and support an initiative like this. When I heard the statistic that 800 mums die every day from childbirth complications, and then the rate of survival is 37% for children, that's very scary, you know. And I sit there and I think about my children without me or my wife, and I think, oh, we could bring you to tears. But I think the work you're doing is fantastic. I think that everybody should know about it, and I think you've got a real chance of actually not just making a dent, but actually solving the problem full stop.
Welcome to Born Into, everyone. My name is Isra, the CEO of Every Pregnancy, and I am so glad you're here. As you know, on this podcast, we bring you stories of courage and resilience from around the world about what it is like to support a mom and her journey throughout pregnancy and childbirth. And today, we are bringing you an incredible guest to join us on the podcast who will be talking about how to build people power movements using social media. Someone who is an expert guru, career coach, also using social media to inspire the world and teach people how to show up at work and in their careers, but also their personal lives to build confidence and build their competence in being able to represent who they are fully and unapologetically. And so today I'm joined with Yasar Ahmad here in London, filming the episode. And we're so excited to be having him and having a conversation with him about maternal health, but also about how to inspire people to be part of this movement using social media. Welcome, Yasar, to Born Into.
Well, thank you for having me. That was an intro. I'm gonna take a snippet of that and use it for my next videos on YouTube.
I love that. Yes, see, already talking about social media and already thinking about strategically how to support us. Yes, how would you introduce yourself for anyone who's listening and who doesn't know you personally or not familiar with your content online?
Okay, so I would consider myself a student of human potential, and a reluctant witness to people who haven't been able to achieve what they want to. I try my best to help people become the person that they should be. And so I spend a lot of time teaching people around leadership, communication, how to be a better version of yourself, be more stoic, be a bit more patient, etc. But I was a corporate exec before. So I was always working in HR, unfortunately, for the people watching.
Yeah, I feel like no one likes HR people. So.
Yeah. So I try not to talk about that too much. But I do a lot on social media now. So it's grown, alhamdulillah. I think in the last 9 months, got to just over 1 million followers plus. Okay,
this is incredible.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a common story for people. I don't know anybody who's grown a social media following to over 1 million followers in just 9 months. By the way, which is the time of a pregnancy. So essentially, you cooked a social media baby. You baked one, and it's an amazing newborn coming out with a huge platform. But for those who are listening, they're going to probably ask, like, how did you do that?
So I think having a baby is much harder.
Yeah, I would say so too. As a mom myself, I would say so too.
But it was interesting. I think it was not last year, 2024, December. I was in Doha with Hamza, my brother-in-law, and we were talking, and he said, and we were talking about the influence that we make on our children, the influence we have on the people around us. And we got into a deep debate, and eventually I said, you know what, I want to try to change the way people think or help more people than I currently help. Because I'm helping, rich people, CEOs, billionaires, people in high-end jobs. Why can't I help the average Joe who maybe can't afford it?
Right.
So I did about 2 months worth of research, and I hate social media. So I despise it.
I would have never thought that.
No, for the 5 years, I didn't have social media.
What?
So I still don't even know how to use Snapchat properly. My son is laughing at me. He's like, you're not supposed to press the buttons, you're supposed to swipe.
That's so funny.
So I spent about 2 months doing some research on it. And I'm a fanatic of behavioral science. So I like to understand how things work. And what I found was there was a formula, which I'll share. It's one person, one problem, one solution.
Okay.
So if you speak to one person, and you identify their one problem and you provide them one solution, that is the formula to build a cult-like following. And so typically what happens with the cult-like following, you have, they become obsessed with your content.
Okay.
And so cults typically are seen as quite negative, right?
Yeah,
and
that word.
Yeah. So maybe there's a different word, like a group or something. But essentially, if you take the concept of cult and apply it to social media, you find the enemy, you find the good person. And what I'm doing is I'm saying your enemy is your imposter syndrome. Your enemy is your reluctance to showcase your work, et cetera, et cetera. Or if someone undermines you, or how to hold your own, essentially. And by doing that, it just resonated. And within the first 17 days, got to 100K followers.
Wow.
And I post a lot.
Yeah.
So I believe in laws of averages, which essentially means that what I do with social media, and I advise everybody to do this if you're thinking about becoming or trying to do social media, is look at your average. Set yourself an average. Say, I'm going to post 100 times before I expect anything to go viral. If by the 47th video or the 90th video, it goes viral, that becomes your average. Now you have to post another 97 to get to your next viral. And then another. And so what happens is that gap gets smaller because you're chasing the gap. And you start to learn what the difference is, what's tweak, the background, the lighting, the foreshadow. And essentially the model for any good social media video is hook, foreshadow, content, CTA.
Yeah.
So good hook, bring the people in. It's a bit of rage bait or normal, whatever. Foreshadow is kind of the authority line, and then the content, and then the CTA is the follow for more. And believe it or not, just by saying the words follow for more, you actually increase your chances of getting followers by, I think it's like 26%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
Good thing I always add that in my CTA at the end of these episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know the statistic.
Yeah, that's why every single YouTuber typically says like, subscribe, share, everything, because people actually do it.
Wow. Yeah, so this is so fascinating to me. So you figure out this model, and it's really actually based on human behavior.
Yes.
And it's based on a natural inclination of anybody, no matter what they identify as, no matter where they live, is going to engage with this content.
Yeah. So there's a term I've coined, is the visibility paradox.
Okay, what's that?
In the workplace, we have a problem where you could be technically brilliant, but strategically invisible. Right? So Harvey Coleman did a study on this, and he found that 10% of your success comes from performance. 90% comes from exposure and perception, what people think of you, and are you exposed to the right people in the right rooms? Do you have the right network, etc.? And so the visibility paradox essentially is what I talk about a lot, but I've broken it down into lots of little videos. So how to make yourself more visible to senior leaders, how to stand up for yourself, how to represent yourself in a meeting, etc., etc. And that resonates with people.
Absolutely.
People want to know. I think I don't know the exact study, but there is a study on it where people who have ready-made sentences for certain scenarios are more likely to reduce their anxiety by it's like 40% or something. So if you have like comebacks or objection handling, that's why in sales they train people on objection handling. You're more comfortable making those phone calls.
That's so fascinating. And I feel like this could apply beautifully to like advocacy and even the work that we do as Every Pregnancy and folks who want to advocate for maternal health. Yeah. I think the issue itself is that everybody understands the value of their mom. Like everyone knows, everyone can connect with this as an issue because it's part of our human experience. We all came from a mom. We all know a mom. Yeah. And we probably all know someone who's struggled through pregnancy or childbirth. But then we lose confidence in how we communicate about the importance of this issue, which I think is one of the core challenges with every pregnancy in general and the work that we're doing for maternal health is a communication challenge. It's, even though people think it's the easiest thing to communicate about, it's how do you get people to saturate and like understand this topic when they have a million other competing priorities that their brain is being talked to every day about on social media. And a lot of that starts with like a personal thing where if they don't feel the connection immediately, then you sort of lose them. And so for me, I always tell people that this maternal health issue, for example, is not just a women's health issue. It's not just a health issue in itself, it's a human rights issue. And no matter what your identities are, you should be able to connect with that. But how would you address really the maternal health vantage point from a communications lens, and how you would build people to essentially rally around this, or like build a cult essentially to what you were saying earlier?
I think there's...
We're going to use the same terminology.
So there's two parts to it. The first is the mere exposure effect. So the mere exposure effect is where if you are constantly exposed to an idea, philosophy, person, you suddenly start to increase your trust in that, right? So one of the things I would almost say is do the opposite of what people say, spray and pray. You almost have to be everywhere and anywhere and front of mind for a lot of people. And so that's why I post 2 videos every single day, knowing that every single day I might not get a viral video, but it doesn't matter because I'm building my own business. And through those CTAs, I'm building familiarity, and people are then wanting to engage through 1 or 2 pieces of content. With every pregnancy, I think people like to think of it as one problem, but essentially systematically, it's like so many different problems. And so instead of saying, hey, can we invest in this one thing? You're saying we've got these 15 to 20 things that need investing into, whether it's the problems with people's beliefs of pregnancy, whether it's the toolkit and the medical side, whether it's the importation, exportation, whether it's the mental side. These are all things people can buy into. Someone who's got anxiety can understand the anxiety of a mother who can't provide for her child, because they understand the physical feelings of anxiety. So if you've ever felt anxiety because you needed to stand up and present, imagine the anxieties a woman would have to feel knowing she has to look at her son and say, I can't feed you.
Right.
And so the connections need to be found there. So you find a generic connection and then you connect it. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's what marketing is. That's what communication is. In fact, what I'd say is your superpower is clarity. If you can provide extreme clarity for every aspect of what we just mentioned, you'll win over everybody. And you don't need a cult for your type of work, right? Yeah. Because essentially, once the problem is eradicated, there is no enemy, right? So it doesn't need to be. It's more of a moral obligation. And I think what people need to understand is that this will help them with their moral compass.
Yeah.
So even if they don't fully understand it, they should still invest in it, because it's something that, whether you're a man or a woman, is the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's so powerfully said. Yeah, so what is your connection and relationship to the work Every Pregnancy does? And why is it an important cause for you to personally like back up and support the mission?
Yeah, I the first time I was ever scared in my life, like genuinely scared, was when I got a phone call from my mother-in-law. She told me my wife was in hospital.
Oh, man.
She'd lost half her blood in her body, and she had a miscarriage.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry.
And she was in Scotland, and I was in Reading. So I'm with my son, and she's 6.5 hours away. And I thought, and I sat in the car, filled the tank up, and I drove 6.5 hours, and I didn't stop. And by the time I just got to Dundee, which was where she was, I ran out of petrol, quickly got into the next petrol station. God willing, I was literally just 6.5 hours. I didn't stop driving, 457 miles. I remember it so clearly. Got to the hospital and I sat there and I was just so distraught that I could have lost my wife. Mm. But more so than that, I'd lost my future. Mm. And unfortunately, that wasn't the first time. It then happened a second and third time. And each time I remember the hope I had and the excitement I had that once I eventually had my first child with my wife, it wasn't as exciting. I was nervous constantly. And I can only imagine the feeling a mother has to go through, knowing that she could have some support and it's just like a little bit of support she needs, or finding out later on that actually this could have been prevented. It's devastating. So it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm so sorry that you and your wife had to go through that experience. It's all too common, but a lot of times people are just not talking about it. And mind you, your example, she was in Scotland, right? And she was, or wherever it is a place that has safety, security, access to resources.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the thought crossed your mind of like, what if I didn't even have these things? Like these things are so typical for us that we don't even think about the absence of them.
Yeah.
And what that looks like in terms of the outcomes.
Absolutely. I think with her particular situation, the thought that went through my mind is she fainted in the bathroom. So the door is like locked and stuff. Yeah. So, if you're a mother and you're out and you like, it doesn't matter where you are really, but if you don't have that support system, your chances of a successful pregnancy drop. Yep. So that was the first thing that went through my mind. Do we have the best hospital? In fact, I was saying that. So it doesn't matter what cost, should we go private? That was literally my first words. What do you need? And not everybody has that privilege to say, what do you need? Let's get it.
Yeah, immediately.
And yeah.
Yeah, the timeliness of it all. Well, I'm so grateful that you guys have your beautiful children now. Mashallah, may Allah protect them for you. And that experience probably, I'm sure, has helped set your perspective on what it is truly to have that privilege of being able to bring life into this world, to raise life in this world, and then be able to support others in that journey. You recently got introduced to Every Pregnancy. What is one thing that's really stood out to you from getting to know about us, our work, and hearing more even last night at the event we had here?
I think the stuff I like, well, not the stuff, but what I like about Every Pregnancy is it focuses on the human, right? It's the human aspect of it. It's like the life. It's such an important thing. Life is such an important thing. And there's so much potential in our children that come. And I don't know, I feel compelled to, I feel this kind of magnetic urge to get towards and support an initiative like this. One, because I haven't heard of many or initiatives like this, but two, because it's such a simple but vital thing, right? In any the kits that you provide, the support you provide, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a derogative way, but it isn't rocket science. True. But it's so simple, and it's affordable, and it should be able for anybody to provide. I also, when I heard the statistic that 800 mums die every day from childbirth complications, and then the rate of survival is 37% for children, that's very scary. And I sit there and I think about my children without me or my wife, and I think, that's not how I don't want to even think about it. We could bring you to tears. But I think the work you're doing is fantastic. I think that everybody should know about it. I think a lot of people can get behind it very quickly. And I think you've got a real chance of actually not just making a dent, but actually solving the problem full stop, because there is such an affinity to it and no one's actually getting there and kind of bringing everybody together. And I think what you're doing is very special. So that's why I'm behind Every Pregnancy. I think it's going to be a big success.
Thank you so much, Yasar. I appreciate that. And it's so fascinating to talk to communications experts and even someone who has the HR background. We can talk about that because you, I think, have seen people in the hardest scenarios.
Yes.
Oftentimes personal experiences that are spilling into professional experiences and causing bad outcomes, clearly, or challenging outcomes, I should say. Has there ever been a moment in your career where you've reflected and really understood and seen the weight that a person goes through in their personal experiences can really be detrimental to all aspects of their life? Has there been a moment that's stood out to you? Maybe one thing that you want to share, an experience?
Let me share two quotes.
Yeah, please.
And then I'll share a quick story just to help you understand. So I there's my favorite quote is by Confucius. 2,500 years ago, he wrote, man has two lives, and the second begins when he realizes he only has one, which is very true.
Very true.
And then the second is by Seneca. Another 2,000 years ago, he said, man has many battles, and most of them are in his head.
True.
And so if we live in our heads, the dichotomy of control is basically we can control what's in our mind, but we can't control external factors. And so you have this idea of how the world should work, right? And with the dichotomy of control, what I've realized is like nothing is really in your control. The only muscle that's in your control is your mind.
Yeah.
And you can't have no civil wars in it. But also you're the main character. So you have to realize that everything revolves around you in your world, in your mind. And so the way you see things is not the way others see things. And so that's quite liberating, because when you realize that your mistake isn't as big for other people, they don't care. They probably just didn't even notice it. And so when you're standing in front of a room and you mess up your verb, like your introduction, no one cares. No one even notices it. If you have a launch, if you launch a new company and it doesn't do well, no one cares. Do it next week, on the next week, on the next week. You send an email with a typo, no one cares, right? And even the way you think isn't necessarily the right way. So there's a concept, you have your known knowns, unknown unknowns, known unknowns, and unknown knowns.
That's a really,
that's
you just said that perfectly.
Yeah, it messes with your brain. But I'll give you a quick story of like why people, what people get wrong. My son, he was 5 years old at the time. This was 11 years ago. We went to my mother's house, and she wasn't at home. So I went downstairs into the basement. Nice Victorian house, got basement, kitchen. Don't ask me why. Got my cup of tea, got my digestive biscuits, came upstairs, sat on the living room couch, and I see my son shining a laser pen in the corner. And I thought, what are you doing? He's 5 years old, and he's shining the laser pen at the Xbox. So what are you doing? He said, I'm turning on the Xbox. I said, that's not how you turn on the Xbox. He said, yeah, that is. I said, no, it's not. You can't turn on the Xbox shining a laser pen. He said, yes, it is. So there I have a stubborn 5-year-old child believing that they can turn on the Xbox. So I said to him, okay, if you're so smart, if you turn on the Xbox with that, I'll buy you an Xbox for home. But if you don't, by the time I finish my tea, we're going home.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And as I kind of took my second sip, my mom's cat came running in and smacked the Xbox and turned it on.
Stop. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's wild.
And so the moral of the story...
Wait, so did you buy him the Xbox?
I did, yeah. I bought him a PlayStation, but not an Xbox. But
close enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a remarkable moment for me, because I always think about that one story, because it made me realize that just because I have a belief of the way of doing something doesn't mean it's necessarily the only way. And the second is there's a lot of people that do things and they have this kind of conviction that's the right way of doing it. But actually they can just get up and press the button and it would save them so much time. But they don't want to. They want to get someone else to do it. And so I believe the same when it comes to difficult situations. A lot of people are not willing to fix it themselves. They want someone else to come and fix it, or they believe that this is the right way. Whereas sometimes just being really raw and just making a bit of effort, you can solve those problems.
That's incredible. I feel like I have a 4-year-old, and mashallah, I feel like he's smarter than I was ever at his age or close to. But he really challenges me on the way he sees the world. And it almost is like that in itself is a blessing of parenthood, I think.
Yeah.
When you have a young mind that is not conditioned by so many of the horrifying things that exist in the world today. And they challenge you to break down your own like stubbornness and your own patterns of behavior.
Yeah.
And so I think that's fascinating. And I think your son is really cool. MashaAllah. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. So Yasar, what has been the biggest thing that you've learned in the past 9 months of building this brand? I mean, very consistently. I have to like say, wow, I'm proud of your consistent discipline, 2 videos a day and engaging with people. And, you know, like there are some people like haters online, and there's also a lot of positive support. Like, what has been the biggest lesson for you personally that you've learned throughout this experience that you obviously like are saying, okay, this is something that will continue to inform my decisions moving forward? Or maybe it's one that actually turned you off from this whole thing.
So there's a few things. So I live by these values. So I have values that I stick to that help me, just guide me. So ruthless prioritization. So only stick to what I want to do. If I've set a goal, that's what I'm going to do. So 2 videos a day, 1 YouTube video every other day, right? Irrespective, going to do it, don't care. That's a consistency I commit to. So I'll do 1,000 videos and then maybe, I think I'm on like 750 videos or something.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, mashallah.
And then the second is data centricity. Data helps me understand. Third is ignorance is bliss. I live in ignorance. I like to not read comments. I don't care. I don't even know if I get hate comments. Like I haven't sat there and read because I just can't be bothered. I do read my messages.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, well, even 99.9% are positive.
Yeah.
People who take the time to message you typically are sending you nice stuff, not negative stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Whereas people comment, they can comment about all sorts of nonsense. So I don't even bother reading comments. It's all automated.
Good suggestion. I should start doing that.
Yeah, it's just so much more liberating.
Absolutely.
And also just understanding that my superstitions are not real. There's another fantastic story I love telling because it just kind of is the epitome of everything I'm trying to say. There was many, many years ago, there was this ashram in India, and this priest would do a ritual around a fire, and he'd walk around the fire, and the villagers would come and they chant. And one Sunday, this cat came in front of him. Another cat story, unfortunately. This cat came in front of him, so he picked up the cat, moved it to the side, went around the fire. Cat came again, picked up the cat, moved it to the side. Next week, same thing happened. Cat came in front of him, moved it to the side. And then the next week, he was like, oh, this cat's really annoying me. And he tied the cat to the tree.
Wow.
And then carried on the ritual, untied the cat, and then let go. And then he said, well, actually, if this cat's going to come every week, I might as well just wait for the cat to come. So he waited for the cat to come, tied it to the tree, done the ritual, untied it, walked away. And this went on for months and months and months. And eventually the old man, he actually died because he had an illness. So the next priest came along. Next priest comes along, young guy, same thing, ties the cat to the tree, like walks around the fire, does the ritual. But one day, the young priest looks to the villagers and says, really sorry, wow, the cat's died. And we can't do the ritual. And so I don't know if you caught the moral of the story there, but there was no need for a cat in the first place. The cat just came because someone else did that.
Yeah.
And the young priest was just following what the old priest did. And so sometimes we need to challenge our belief system and say, okay, well, is this the right thing to do because it is data driven and it makes sense? Or is it because I've seen someone else do it and I just think it's the right thing to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just
no, this is so fascinating.
But I think it's what's helped me with my content. I don't need to have a polished video. I can just pick up my phone and record. Yeah, maybe someone hasn't gone viral for doing that, but I don't care. I'll just do it, and I'll keep doing it until I'll see some evidence to prove otherwise. And alhamdulillah, I think now I was adding up my views yesterday. I think we're on like 350 million views.
That's amazing.
On across the videos, so that's good. Yeah.
MashaAllah, we definitely want more of that analysis and support for every pregnancy, because we've even realized that there is content that we produce that goes viral or partnership announcement, but it's always like the most unexpected things. So I think one of the things that went viral for us was talking about how a condom can actually be used to save a mom's life.
Okay.
And people were like blown away by that, because typically they would have never associated that with a life-saving intervention.
Yeah.
And the way that it's used is if a mom really is having postpartum hemorrhage bleeding, and the last intervention in some of these places like Pakistan or Nigeria, they don't usually have balloon tampons, which are like the actual equipment version of it like they would have in the US or here in the UK. And so they essentially tie a condom onto a catheter, and they insert it into your uterus, and they push saline in, and it expands and puts the pressure on the uterus to stop the bleeding. So that video went viral because it was like a simple explanation, like you have no idea how powerful your condom really is actually in saving a mom's life.
Yeah.
So I often feel like, to the point of your story, when you challenge the narrative or a typical way of thinking around something, an item or a concept, people do resonate with it. But then it also risks, like, in the world of AI and clickbait and fake news, I feel like misinformation is rampant too. So how
Yeah.
do you break through a world, to be honest, where a lot of people are losing trust and credibility into social media? Even though, of course, they look at figures, I'm sure, like yourself and your content is like, oh, you're legitimate. But how
Mm.
do you navigate the ever-changing world online?
So a lot of people do accuse me of being AI.
Really? Like, people
Yeah.
don't think you're real?
Yeah, I've
I'm
had
dead.
people. I've
I
had,
think it's your voice.
I think it's my voice. This is a monotone voice,
I'm
right?
gonna be honest, guys. This is really his voice at all
Yeah.
times.
So
He's
people.
very stoic and very calming. You
Yeah.
know, like I feel like it's a meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
No wonder they think you're an AI.
So people actually say like he sounds like AI, and I have to reply, no, this is actually just me, and I just have a very sad face. It's okay.
No, it's funny.
But it happens. I think you have, like, it goes back to the mere exposure effect. So there's a couple of things. If you're interested in social media, becoming an influencer, there's a few things you should know. One, repost. Always repost.
Interesting.
Like, I repost my videos at least 3 to 4 times in a year.
The same video.
Same video. Because if you look at the statistics, only like 20% of your followers actually see it. And then 70% or 80% of non-followers see it. So those non-followers are not going to see it ever again. But your followers, 80% missed it. So you need to repost it because they might not have been online. They might not have seen it.
Interesting.
Other content. So your best content, you should repost all the time, regularly, because people will see it. The second is obviously trial reels and things like that. You can cut and edit the beginning of a reel. A good example of that is I took one of my reels that I think it did like 800,000 in the first 2 days.
Oh my God.
But then a month later, I posted the exact same reel, exact same caption. It did 2.9 million.
What was the topic of this reel?
It was, if someone questions your expertise, say this and watch their tone change.
Okay, I actually also want to hear this. I want you to give the reel live.
Yeah.
Because people love to challenge my competence and my expertise.
Did they?
Yeah, sometimes you'd be shocked.
Well, I think I think what I will say is this: none of my advice is great advice. It's just advice that you have to apply to your own style. I think most of it is body language and timing, pacing. Most importantly, when someone questions your authority, I know we're going off topic here, but when someone's questioning your authority, I think a lot of it comes down to how you react. So if someone says something, you can literally ignore it. And what will happen? They'll just think you're being rude, but they were already being rude first. So what difference does it make? If someone says, well, or mansplains, that happens a lot. So a lot of women, they get mansplaining.
Oh yeah, I know all about this.
Well, you should do this, we should do that. It's okay, thanks.
This pause.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I feel like even I felt uncomfortable with that pause.
Yeah.
So I need to do that. Okay, thanks. That's actually really good advice.
Yeah.
What if someone's trying to undermine you though? Like,
you can use a growth mindset hack, which is I like, but what if? Or I like, let's prioritize. So I like A, I like B. If you don't want to offend the person, I like A, I like B, but what if we do this? Yeah. If it's data driven or something like that, or if someone's asking you for something that you don't have the information for, it's a good question. It's not on topic, but I'll come back to you by the end of the day. That's it. I
would regret asking that if I was told, good question, not on topic. Yeah. I'll loop back with you later.
Yeah. So I think it's about being confident in your own ability. I think yesterday you said that it was yourself that you believed in your voice, right?
100%.
Right. So if you believe in your voice, no one can offend you. Unless you let them. So there's no such thing as someone undermining you unless you let them undermine you.
Oh my God, that's like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's true. The definition of that behavior is not even real.
Yeah. So I can't get offended if I'm not going to let you offend me. It's hard for people to understand this. You have to really get to the core of who you are as a person and comfortable with you. If there's, I had someone beep at me, I couldn't care less. Not why did they beep at me? I just didn't even think about it. Just, okay, carry on.
Let alone react.
no man, like, what's the point? What's going to benefit me and the person by me reacting, and also what's going to benefit me in reacting anyway? So I think that obviously there's times and places.
Yeah.
Someone's coming up to you and being racist to you, tell them to, But for the most part, most of our discussions, like I said, what Seneca said, most of our battles happen in our mind, right? We overemphasize what hasn't happened. And simple body language, simple pacing, simple demeanor, letting the person know they've offended you by just saying,
Yes, I feel like I offended you.
no, but that's it. That
That's
awkwardness,
yeah.
that just, I've been in
Handles it.
Obviously you can say funny things if you really want to. Like I've been in boardrooms where comedy or humor kind of brings down the heat in the heat of discussion. I've been in a super advisory board meeting. There's been like discussions around £350 million budget. People are firing at each other. It's all emotional. And, you can break, like, I don't want to offend the person, but I feel like the wheels are spinning, but the hamster's dead. And then suddenly everybody's kind of like laughing and it kind of calm it down. So I don't think there's a right way to deal with people challenging you.
Yeah.
I think there's your way of dealing with it. But before you even have all the right sayings, you just have to understand the dichotomy of control.
Absolutely.
So what the problem with my advice and the things I don't like about my social media content is that people don't understand that. They think that they can just repeat what I say and then everything will be fine. And then they go and repeat what I say and it didn't work out. And then they come back and they watch the next video and they're like, oh, that's why I didn't work, because I needed to say this next.
Yeah. And
in all of them, I always say you need to be stoic. And stoicism is very much like, it's not a religion.
No.
If people don't know about stoicism, it's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about just understanding what's in your control. And actually, it's more close to Islam than most people like to believe. In Islam, we believe in faith. We believe in what we can control and what we can't control, what's written for us, and free will. It's the same concept.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I love how like all these human behaviors really do contribute to the world that we're trying to build. So if we're on a mission where we want people to be more empathetic and more driven by a cause like maternal and newborn health, and recognize and see themselves in the work that we're trying to do, it's about how we put the information out to them, how accessible we make it feel. What would be your guidance and your advice for me, even as a CEO of Every Pregnancy, on what we could do better in the messaging and on social media? I love this. This is accountability.
Yeah. So I think, so what I'm going to say is not necessarily what you might want to hear.
Okay.
But it's going to sound extremely obvious. You have to figure out your laws of average. So you have to say, okay, how many donations did it take me to get to where I am today? Right? How many followers do I have? How many videos? How much came through? If you do UTM links, so
yeah, we do.
Yeah. So figure out what your average is there from the beginning to now. Okay. Now, if I wanted to triple that, I would need to do triple the effort. So it's just that. So it's a numbers game. With social media, it is purely a numbers game. There are moments of virality, but that's the 99.9%. For the most majority of people, this is a 1% rule. Okay, so 1% of people online are creating content, 9% are engaging with the content, 90% are just watching the content.
True.
Yeah?
I can see that.
So if you're the 1%, how do you become the 0.1% providing 2 times as much content or 3 times as much content? I've met people. The other day I was posting on Facebook. This actually happened. I can show you my phone. 28 days ago on Facebook, I had 348 followers. I was like,
28 days ago?
Yeah.
So you said?
28.
A month?
Yeah, 28 days ago. And now I have 291,000. Right?
So, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm being, actually, I'll show you on my phone.
I believe you, knock on wood there.
So I was with a friend and I said, what's going wrong with my Facebook? Like, why is my Facebook not growing? And he said, well, just spam post it. I said, what do you mean? He said, take all your best videos, 20 videos, post them all back to back. I said, are you sure? that doesn't work on other platforms. He goes, no, Facebook, it works. I did 20 posts. 17th video got like 1.9 million views. And then since that day, the next day I was on 25K followers. The next day I'm on 100K followers. And now I'm 291. I've surpassed, I think on TikTok, I'm on like 292.
Wow.
I've surpassed TikTok in 2 weeks. On Instagram, I'm like 488 or something. And so the proof is there that actually the sheer amount of content can actually drive success as well. So I don't think it's the best way, but because my content is educational content, it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're doing entertainment, it doesn't work. So my way is like, I'm talking to 1,000 different problems. You might follow me because you want my one piece of information that's really helpful. So if it was for every pregnancy, instead of just talking about every pregnancy, you should be talking about pregnancies.
Yes.
Right? So what does a father need to know before the 5 mistakes that fathers make before pregnancy? The 2 mistakes that you need to avoid during a pregnancy. 7 lessons from 1,000 mothers who've had a miscarriage.
Oh, wow.
So those pieces of content are save it worthy. You want to save them. You want to share them. You will share the 7 mistakes a husband makes with your brother who is having a child.
Yes, you will.
You will save it as a mother if you've watched those. And if you talk to the mass, because pregnancy is something that most people experience either through third party or themselves being pregnant.
I love that.
So you've got a ton of topics, thousands.
I love that. And we're going to make sure that we are recording these topics and we're going to start spamming them out on Facebook and using this strategy. And what I love about your advice today is that you really can apply it across the board, whether someone is working at a nonprofit organization listening to this or building their own company or building their own profile. It's not just about how you feel good about yourself and feel unapologetic and confident in your voice, but it's also about really the numbers and the formula to be successful in that. And so I really appreciate you sharing all these tips with us, and we'll definitely implement them for every pregnancy.
No worries.
Yeah. Well, so Yasar, what would be your last sort of reflection and advice for those who are listening and who are saying, okay, well, I definitely did not come to Born Into to think I was going to hear from an incredible expert in communication, social media, and behavioral science in so many ways. But what would your sort of lasting advice be for them if they were going to listen to this episode? What would you want them to take away from this?
There's one thing I like saying, but it's not necessarily what we've been talking about.
Okay, I love that.
I have a belief that, especially as a Muslim, I believe this more strongly. I believe it's every Muslim's duty to be wealthy. Now, I don't talk about wealth as in monetary. I'm talking about wealth in experience, in skill, in money, and I think too many of us believe that we've hit our expiry date and that we should just stick to what we're doing. And it was only 9 months ago where no one knew me. And now I get stopped in the street saying, hey, you're that leadership coach guy. And it's transformed my life.
Wow.
Financially, I was in a very good C-suite role. To match that, I never thought I'd be able to match it doing social media, let alone anything else. And there I am, 2nd month in, making more money than I would have at my job.
MashaAllah, it's amazing.
So I think there is a real, if we look at it from a Ummah perspective, it is our duty to be wealthy because we can contribute so much more if we are. And like every pregnancy, the people that we help, the people that you help, you want them not just to be successful in the pregnancy, but afterwards as well.
Absolutely.
Raising their kids being successful, their kids understanding that, oh, my mother needed help and they got support. And actually, I need to make sure that in the future, this doesn't happen to other mothers.
Absolutely.
So there's a wealth in knowledge as well.
That's beautifully said. I'm going to throw some sentences at you that I want you to finish. So a little bit spitfire. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like, I couldn't even tell if he was ready or not because he's so stoic. It's really amazing. But he really is not AI. Anybody who's watching this is real. Every mother should
not have to work twice as hard as a man to get the same amount of credit. There's a study by McKinsey that showed women have to work twice as hard to get the recognition they deserve.
That's really powerful. Every baby should have
Oh, baby. Child or baby?
both.
I think every child should have a person, an adult, who makes them believe that it's okay to show up as their true self and be seen, and it's not arrogance.
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
I love that. And what would you say for a baby?
For a baby, I think every baby needs, well, the obvious is every baby needs love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the pinnacle. That's the top. Anything else is just secondary, I think. Through love, you have everything else you need.
The beauty of community, in your opinion, is, or in my opinion, is?
The beauty of community. Oof. I don't know if there is beauty in community.
Interesting.
I don't think there is. I don't like the idea of community.
Why?
I think communities are divisive. I think the idea of a community is that there are a bunch of people together that are together, whereas I believe there are philosophies, there are ideas that we agree to. So maybe that is a community, maybe that's a group, but I think the beauty of a community is more around its diversity of thought. If a community is just one echo chamber, forget about it.
I agree. We're not a monolith.
Yeah, exactly. So
I almost like the beauty is that we're not a monolith.
Yeah. So diversity is, if it's a community of diverse opinions, thoughts, processes, then absolutely.
I love that. Okay, well, a good way to challenge that. I appreciate that, Yasir. This was such an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot. As the CEO of Every Pregnancy, I'm going to take a lot of this amazing advice, the practical advice, the 7 rules, the 7 mistakes, all these different ways of framing this issue, though, so that I can appeal to people across the world in this powerful way. Today, we were joined in this conversation by someone you would probably least expected to be on this podcast, but I'm so happy that you heard from him directly. Someone who will help build your confidence, help build your leadership skills, but also give you the tools and the blueprint to how to grow your social media and communicate more strategically, more effectively, and more powerfully. Because at the end of the day, when we're able to communicate our passions and the work that we're doing, including the work we do with the Every Pregnancy Coalition, we are more effective in creating better impact and lasting impact. So thank you so much, Yasar Ahmad, for joining us on Born Into today. To follow his work, you will see his handles in our notes for this episode. Support him, follow him, and also subscribe to all the different platforms that he's on. Let's help get him to be over 2 million followers, probably by next month, mashallah, at this rate. And we continue to support the work that he does. And we appreciate your support of Every Pregnancy, and continue to support and follow Every Pregnancy. You all know at our handles at Every Pregnancy or on our website, everypregnancy.org. Sign up for the updates and stay in touch with us as we continue to explore the different facets of how to grow this movement on Born Into. Thank you all so much and have a good night.